Hi, I want to welcome you back to the program today. I'm going to be teaching on a subject that I'm simply entitling, I Spoke Too Soon. I don't know, maybe you have or haven't, but I know I have. And I've always kind of lived to regret it, as they say. But King David, he said he spoke too soon too. So when my husband and I were doing our Bible study this morning, I remember saying to him, "Ooh, that'd be a good one to talk about." So I thought I would just kind of take another look at it today with you. I'm going to use the Passion Translation, and it's in Psalm chapter 31. I'm going to begin reading in verse 21. The name of the Lord is blessed and lifted high, for his marvelous miracle of mercy protected me when I was overwhelmed by my enemies. Now, that sets a tone for what I'm about to talk about. You see, David was overwhelmed. Have you ever been overwhelmed? I mean, right now with all that's going on, surely you've wondered, will my life return to the normal that I used to know? How about my job? How about my children? How about education? How about my health? How about making the next car payment or the next house payment? Or how do I take care of someone that's sick? And that it can become overwhelming. Well, David was overwhelmed. And so here's what he said in verse 22, and this is what caught my attention this morning. I spoke hastily when I said, "The Lord has deserted me." For in truth, you did hear my prayer and came to rescue me. Listen to me, all you godly ones. So now David's talking to us. Love the Lord with passion. The Lord protects and preserves all those who are loyal to him, but he pays back in full all those who reject him with their pride. Verse 24, so cheer up, take courage, all you who love him. Wait on him to break through for you, all you who trust him. So I was beginning to think, so often the word time frame came to my mind. Why would we think that the Lord didn't come through on time? I find myself creating a timeline for God to work in. See, man may give me a timeline. This bill is due on this date. Well, that becomes a time frame. This bill is due on this date, and this one's due here, and before long we've got this time frame. I need so much money by this one, and I've got to have so much by this one, and so much money by this one. So needs and time frames become very important in our life. And so we take all this to the Lord, and we give him I'm going to call it our drop dead time frame. God, I've got to have it by this time right here. And usually, most of us would ask God to have it to us before the drop dead date. Wouldn't that be nice? It's in the bank. I'm going to just write a check, pay for it. But sometimes it doesn't come early, and that date is still there. And like David says, I just thought it was so good the way he said it. I spoke hastily when I said, "The Lord has deserted me." For in truth, now he goes back and he says, but this is the truth. You did hear my prayer and came to rescue me. Sometimes it's not so obvious, but when we step back and take a look, God was there all along. In the toughest hour, in the tightest time frame, we look back and we see where God was there. You know, in Proverbs 31:15, this morning we also read this. My life, this is the Passion again, my life, my every moment, my destiny, it's all in your hands. So I know you can deliver me from those who persecute me relentlessly. There are some things that just seem to come against us and come against us and come against us again and again and again. You know, David said, my life, my destiny, he chose to make sure he knew whose hand it was in. Sometimes we put our destiny in our hand, but God, we want to put our destiny in his hand. So David said, my life and my every moment, my destiny, it's all in your hands. Now, this is verse 15. I started off by reading the end of the chapter. I read verses 21 to 24, the end of that chapter. Because, see, I wanted to come back and roll us back, so to speak. The reason David said, but in truth I know that you did come through for me, is because way back in verse 15, he had already put his life, his destiny in the hands of Jesus. When you put your destiny, your life as your destiny in the hands of Jesus, these time frames will take care of themselves. As hopeless as they look, they will come about in a way that you will feel God's presence. You will see victory after victory after victory. But we have to trust Him. It's just really that simple. We have to trust Him. So the big question is, where's your destiny? Is it in the hands of God, or are you still holding it tight yourself? David realized that his destiny was in God's hands. And sometimes I'm going to use a word, the woe is me, the pity party. And I doubt if I'm the only one that's had a very successful pity party. I've had a few successful ones until I realized what I was doing. And then I said, Father, forgive me. I spoke too hastily. You really were there, and you really are here, and you really will be there. So if you've been in that pity party mode, it's time to get out of it. Join David, join me today in saying, enough is enough is enough. No more pity party. I'm going forward. My life, I put it completely and totally in the hands of God. I'm not speaking too early or too premature anymore. I'm saying, in truth, you were there all along. And in truth, my destiny is in your hands. And just as a confirmation to that, Jeremiah 29:11 said, and this is in the New King James, Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you. This is God. I know the thoughts that I think toward you, says the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. God has given us a future, a destiny, a hope, things of good, not of evil. Place your life completely, totally today in Him and trust Him, even for those drop-dead time frames, those must-haves. You trust Him today and watch what happens. Thank you for joining me today. I pray blessings over you. As you trust Him, God will surprise you day after day with His presence and you'll love it. It'll bring such peace. Share our program with others, please, as we will continue to post because God has told me to do it. So I'll keep doing it.